What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Brent's having a great day today. So today's video is more filler content. It's great. It's really awesome. I've had a really busy weekend and it's like 8:50 when I'm recording this, so it's very late at night. I say very late at night, like it's midnight, but you know, it's nighttime, so it doesn't make sense to go film a car video outside right now. So that's where we're at right now. So today's video is going to be a video that I've thought about making, but wasn't sure how well it would be received, and I thought, screw it, why not? And that is going to be talking about the 4.0 as an engine and why I hate it so much, because obviously it doesn't make sense for me to have a modified one if I hate the engine so much. And let's talk about my disdain for the 4.0 today. And keep in mind, this is my opinion, so if you really like the 4.0, that's great. You know, keep enjoying your engine, and hopefully you don't have the same issues I've had with mine, and which is what causes my disdain. And like I said, it's like I've said before, it's not the worst engine ever made. There are worse engines, but it's just not my favorite. And unfortunately for me, having a Gen 1 means that I don't have the option like the Gen 2 guys did, where they were able to pick the 4.6 over it. I wish I had that option. It'd be kind of cool, but unfortunately I didn't have that option, so that's kind of that. So yeah, let's get right into it. So the 4.0. For those who don't know, the 4.0 engine, it's the part of the Cologne family of Ford's V6s, which went all the way back to the late 80s and had like a 2.8, something like that, to start with, all the way up to our current 4 liters. Which is kind of bonkers to think about an engine that was like really small for a V6 all the way up to a giant V6. You know, no cars out there today are sold with a 4-liter V6 anymore. You know, I think the only cars that have a 4-liter 6-cylinder, like the 911, I believe the GT3 uses a 4-liter. So, I mean, you know, it takes a lot for people to build 6-cylinders with that big of a displacement now. So, yeah, the 4.0 single overhead cam engine was derived from the pushrod block. It's why it's still a 60-degree engine, and to my understanding, I've heard lots of people say this. Take this with a grain of salt, because even I don't know about this. That it is just a single overhead cam version of the pushrod engine, so the blocks are the exact same. And to my understanding, it was just retooled for single overhead cam. And my first big issue with the 4.0 is not really anything that's like terribly crazy. It is kind of nuts, but it's a design thing. It's not as much a mechanical fault that they have. It's the fact that it has one timing chain on the rear. I've talked about this countless times because it's made the 4.0 very expensive to replace if you have one fail by a shop, especially when the timing chain's done. Usually more than half the time it's cheaper to replace the engine completely than it is to get the timing chain repaired on it, because they're ones on the back and they have to pull the motor out anyway. So most of the time they'll just be like, yeah, we'll just buy a spare motor, pop it in there, done. Or this is usually where lots of sport track owners take the opportunity to 5.0 swap their trucks, is when they have a 4.0 failure from the timing chain failure issues, because of that stupid design and how much it costs to replace it. And mine is no different. Mine has the famous death rattle. It's had it for a couple years now, and I've luckily, knock on wood here, have been pretty fine with it. I haven't been bit by that one yet. Most people don't get a lot of time out of them when they started doing the death rattle. It's usually a matter of months before they blow up. And luckily, again, knock on wood here, I've been fine, and I haven't had much to worry about with it. But yeah, the death rattle, which is very hard to fix because of that amount of timing chain, has like always been one of the biggest things I hate about that engine. Like I said, most of my faults with the 4.0 are more of a design issue more than it is actual issues with the engine, because when they're taken care of, they last. That's like where the 4.0 comes in handy. You know, it was great for the time. You know, it was a great engine for the time, because the 4.6 2-valve engine, which was powering the F-150, powered the Mustang, wasn't making that much more power. The F-150 was just making around like 230, I believe, and in the Mustang made 265. So having the V6 within a 50 horsepower difference of the 2-valve, you know, which was the engine that was in production in the Mustang at the time, it was the V8 that Ford used back then. Pretty impressive. Of course, it didn't compete with the 4-valve. But in comparison to the 2-valve, which is like the next tier up when it comes to Ford's engines at the time, the 4.0 was pretty close. Of course, it was still a V6. It still had that stigma of being a V6 from Ford, that it wasn't going to have a crazy performance aftermarket, and it really doesn't. I mean, the only company I can think of that really does, the companies, plural, there's 2, that work with 4.0s a lot, is Tom Marana, which specializes in all 4 to 6-cylinder engines, like the 3.8, the 3.9, the 4.0, the 4.2, stuff like that. You know, they specialize in these 4 to V6s. and then Super 6, which did stuff for the 3.8, the 4.0, the 3.5 EcoBoost, 3.7, the non EcoBoost 3.5s, all of the various engines from the Duratec family, as well as the Cologne family, and the Essex family with the 3.8 of engines from Ford. So it's like, 2 companies specialize in these engines. So not a lot of people mess with the V6s as much as you do with the V8. So in the V8 guys, you've got all of the big performance shops. Especially out here in Georgia, we have Injected Engineering. We've got I believe a couple of other big name performance shops for muscle cars out here. Vengeance Racing, for example, who don't really do stuff with Ford, but they're a big muscle shop out here. So at the end of the day, the V6s are kind of overlooked, and that was kind of my other issue, is that not a lot of people tinker with them and make them fun. I'm one of few, I believe, to ever do a full bolt-on setup on one of these trucks, if not the only one in the world. I'm not saying that I am, because I really don't know. These trucks have been around for a very long time, and there's no telling that people haven't gone the same route I have with them and done like a full setup on them and had them tuned with an intake on it. So, and all the other stuff mine has done to it. But the 4.0 itself, my next thing is for an enthusiast like me who wants more power. The 4.0 does not do well with bolt-ons. Like I said before, I've done the bolt-ons, I've done all the work, and it makes a difference, but it's nothing drastic. You're not going to be beating any Camaros or Mustangs with it. The only way to do that really is to really throw some power down, throw some money at it, and throw a blower on it. And that's really the only way to do it. Or my dream setup would be with it would be a twin turbo, but that's just me. So I mean, it's a lot to make it compete with other engines now, especially now with the LS, not the LS, the LTs, the Coyotes, the new Hemis. You can't compete with them with the 4.0, and it sucks because at the end of the day, it's a unique setup. It's a big V6, and you think with as much displacement as it has, it would be a very good race engine, but it's not, because it's poorly optimized for racing. It's optimized for longevity and torque, because that's what it was designed for. 4.0 wasn't really meant to be a race car engine. It was meant to be a torque monster that would help with towing, or just be recycled into the Mustang like it later was in life. So at the end of the day, the 4.0 itself isn't like a terrible engine per se. My always big faults with it has been more with the design, again with those rear timing chains. Of course, there are mechanical faults with the 4.0. There's the well-known thermostat housing issues, because Ford put a plastic thermostat housing on it, which if you can think for a second, an area that is hot and then cold and then hot and then cold, plastic isn't like metal. Plastic expands and contracts, so eventually that's going to cause a crack and a failure, and I've had that happen multiple times. And that's why I always say, when people buy a sport track, get ready to buy a metal housing, because you're going to need it, because it's not a matter of if the thermostat housing explodes, it's when. And as well as the death rattle, watch out for that, because it's expensive to fix. So at the end of the day, like I said, the 4.0 is more of a design and aftermarket issue than it is the mechanical faults. There are still, like I said, a couple mechanical faults here and there with the 4.0. It's not perfect, but I hate how it's designed. I really do. And I hate that, it's not a performance engine, but that's kind of the nature of the beast when you try to build a truck. 9 times out of 10, trucks were never built to be performance unless it's a Lightning or a Silverado SS or an SRT10. So why bother with that? I did it because I enjoy it, and I wanted to do a performance build, and that's all I had. So, but anyway, I'm gonna wrap things up here. I hope you all enjoyed this short little video. I can say short; it's almost 10 minutes. Stay tuned for more content coming this week. I want to say thank you to everyone who submitted questions for the Q&A that I uploaded last Friday. I had a great time doing that, and I appreciate all of you who submitted that and watched that video. I apologize for not having a live stream up last weekend as we typically do. I had a really busy Saturday. I wanted to go hang out with a friend of mine, which I will introduce to the channel very soon. I'm very excited to, as well as we had family dinner that night with my brother, because my brother's birthday was Saturday. So he's officially part of the adult club. We actually have his friends over right now, which is, I don't know if you guys are heard any laughing going on behind, but yeah, he's had friends over. So. But anyway, hope you all enjoyed this video. I will see you guys next time. Have a fantastic day, everyone.